Today, we're here to find out which duelist is the absolute best in Marvel Rivals. We have 3 different categories: damage, movement, and survivability, with multiple events in each category for them to test their abilities against. Points will be given to the contestants depending on how well they did in the event, where first place gets 12 points, second gets 10, third gets 8 points, fourth gets 7 points, all the way down to 10th place only getting 1 point. So hopefully they brought their A game. At the end of the last event, the judges will count up all their points to figure out who is truly the best duelist in Marvel Rivals, and to see who will represent the duelist in the biggest tournament of the year, the Marvel Rivalympics. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first category they'll be competing in is the damage category. The first event is called Back to the Basics, where our contestants will be seeing who can knock out our dummy the fastest using only their basic attacks. Up first, we have the Queen of the Weather Channel, Storm, who uses her electrifying abilities to take down the dummy in 5.69 seconds. Our next competitor is Punisher, who drops the dummy in less than 2 seconds. Here we have Hela, who uses those headshot multipliers to get a solid 2.02 seconds. Now, what is going on? Next is Black Panther, who uses his claws to take down the dummy in 10.12 seconds. And what an exciting time to see Magic take place in this competition, as she gets a solid 9.79 seconds. It wouldn't be a competition for the best without Iron Man making an appearance, finishing the dummy off in 6.59 seconds. The friendly neighborhood web slinger is here to show everyone what he can do, but it's not looking good as he finishes off the dummy in 12.72 seconds. And look what the Chaos Cat brought in, it's Scarlet Witch, who uses her Chaos Magic to take down the dummy in 11.49 seconds. Now, she might want to alter reality with that lackluster performance. And it looks like the competition is heating up as Star-Lord finishes with a 2.92. And our last competitor is Namor, who uses that trident to clock in right under 5 seconds with a 4.87. That brings the event to an end, and here are the results. The Punisher takes the gold with an outstanding sub 2 seconds. Hela literally had the gold ripped from her hands. Any other time, a 2.02 would have easily been enough for gold, but not with Punisher in the competition. Either way, that's solid points for the both of them. And it wasn't the best start for the web slinger, rounding out last place in this event. Hopefully the next one he manages to pick it up. Let's keep things moving with the second event of the damage category, called Wombo Combo, where our contestants will be showing their best combination of their abilities to see who can defeat our dummy the fastest. First up was last place of the last event, Spider-Man, who uses those webs to put together a combo that will end up knocking down the dummy in 6.99 seconds. Next up is Black Panther, who utilizes Wakanda's kinetic energy technology to down the dummy in 7.27 seconds. And here comes Storm with good presence and strong lightning abilities, clocking in at 6.09 seconds. Things are looking good for Namor as he gets some assistance from his ocean friends, taking down the dummy in 5.12 seconds. Our next competitor is Hela, who launches multiple attacks at the head of the dummy to get a solid time of 3.49 seconds. Magic is ready to tear this dummy to pieces, but it doesn't seem like things are going to plan as she is struggling a bit to finish off the dummy, clocking in at 12.22 seconds. Power doesn't seem to be an issue with our next contestant as the Punisher uses a turret to mow down the dummy in just 5.82 seconds. Next is Scarlet Witch, taking down the dummy in a solid 6.77 seconds. And it looks like Star-Lord is ready to show off a bit by knocking out our dummy in a mere 3.07 seconds. Our last competitor of the event is using that laser to melt the dummy in just 6.22 seconds. That ends the second event, and here are the results. It was a great showing for Star-Lord, who manages a first place finish, just barely beating Hela out. Though it's not first, Hela is managing to stay consistent throughout this category. If she keeps this up, she'll definitely have a podium spot by the end of this, earning her a ticket to the Marvel Rivalympics. There are a few who've managed to stay in the middle of the pack, like Iron Man, where they haven't been on the podium, but they haven't finished in last place, like Magic, who really seemed to struggle in this event. Things can change at any moment as we move on to the last event of the damage category called Ultimate Showdown, where the duelists must start by using their ultimate and then utilizing the rest of their abilities to defeat our dummy. And it looks like Magic is raring to go after that last place finish. She transforms into the Dark Child and starts swinging wildly at the dummy, taking it down in 8.27 seconds. Next up, we have Star-Lord, who launches into the air, sending a flurry of bullets at the dummy, taking it down in 6.07 seconds. It's time for Spider-Man to show everyone the power that he brings, webbing the dummy up and knocking it out in 6.77 seconds. Next is the Punisher, who is here to execute on his plans and does it perfectly, securing a 2.99 just under 3 seconds. Now, it seems Storm has something to say about that, as she creates a tornado to bring down the dummy in 8.32 seconds. Hellez came in second place in both the events prior to this. What can she do here? Spring into the sky, sending magic blasts to the dummy, and landing a 7.62. And here comes Black Panther, ready to show his pride for Wakanda, revealing a huge mystical panther that doesn't seem to do too much damage. And things are falling apart quickly as he knocks out the dummy in 10.77 seconds. Hopefully Iron Man can bring more than that as he launches a giant blast to take the dummy out in 2.07 seconds? What? How will our next competitor respond? It looks like Scarlet Witch has an answer, erasing the dummy in only 4.12 seconds. And here comes Namor, our last competitor, using a whale to take down the dummy in 4.62 seconds, just barely behind Scarlet Witch. And with that ends the final event for the damage category. And here are the results. Iron Man easily takes first place here, but it's the bottom of the board that is worrisome, as Black Panther couldn't even manage a sub 10-second performance. He really needs to pick things up in the next categories if he wants any chance of making it to the Marvel Rivalympics. Heading back to the top of the boards, who would have thought that we would have not one, but two competitors who managed to output more damage than the witch who can literally erase reality? What's that? The analysts are saying if Iron Man would have been closer, his time could have been reduced by a few tenths of a second. Wow. It could have been a serious run at the world record of 1.89 seconds set by the great Penny Parker. And with the end of the last event, the judges have added up all the points from the damage category events, and here is what the leaderboard is looking like so far. In first place, we have Punisher with 29 points, second is Star-Lord with 26 points, Hela rounding out third with 24 points. Then you have Namor and Iron Man coming out in 4th and 5th, with Scarlet Witch and Storm rounding out 6th and 7th. Unfortunately, Spider-Man, Magic, and Black Panther didn't even break 10 points, rounding out 8th, 9th, and 10th place. Now that the points for the damage category have been released, Demetrius, who are you looking forward to keeping up the pace and possibly bringing home the gold?
Since the beginning of this, I've said Punisher is one of the best to ever do it. I'm sure he'll definitely be going to the Marvel Rivalympics, and if he keeps this performance up, possibly solidify him as the GOAT of Marvel Rival competitions.
Well, we'll just have to see as the competition continues to our next category, the movement category, where our first event is called Morning Stroll. The contestants will have to get from point A to B by using only their base movement speed, starting with Punisher, Star-Lord, and Namor. All three of them seem to have missed the leg day. They come in at a solid 8.87 seconds. Up next is Hela, Magic, and Spider-Man, who all have a strong takeoff, trying different breathing techniques, but nothing that will excel them further than the other, as all three of them come in at 8.77 seconds. Black Panther takes to the field, showcasing his speed, finishing in just 7.72 seconds. Storm is next, using the wind to guide her to a swift time of 7.37 seconds. The last two competitors are Scarlet Witch and Iron Man, who both dig deep to get a time of 8.79 seconds, ending the first event of the movement category. The results are in, and it looks like there are a bunch of ties. With Storm coming in first place and Black Panther close behind, there are multiple ties throughout the rest of the leaderboard, ties for 3rd, 6th, and 8th. The competition is really starting to heat up with all these ties happening in the first event. But I don't think that will be the case when we move on to the second event, which looks like it's ready to begin. This event is called Race to the Finish, where the competitors can use any of their abilities to make it to the other side the fastest. Standing by is our first competitor who came second in the last event, Black Panther. And he's off! Using the dashes to his advantage, he is able to secure a time of 4.87 seconds. Our next competitor is Scarlet Witch, who decides to fade out of reality to try and bend space to get a quicker time, finishing with a 6.89. Namor is up, and with very little horizontal movement capabilities, he manages a time of 10.39 seconds. Next is Iron Man, who really flexes his Stark technology to boost his way to the finish line, getting a 4.37. And it seems like Star-Lord wants to show off some of his tech, using his rocket boots to get a time of 4.42 seconds. Now, Spider-Man is eager to show off his web-slinging skills and gets an impressive 2.12 seconds. Next up to try and one-up that performance is Hela, who uses her crow to get a time of 6.77 seconds. Magic dips between dimensions to reach the goal in 5.27 seconds. Next is Punisher, who uses a zipline to get to the finish line in 2.72 seconds? How is that even possible? Our final contender is Storm, who uses the wind to push her to a solid finish of 5.97 seconds. With that, the second event of the movement category has finished, and here are the results. Spider-Man lands in first place, but it's more shocking to see Punisher in second place using his zipline technique. Both managed solid points from the event. As we look further down the board, it appears that Namor was struggling to make anything happen. Namor needs to really use those wings to move a bit faster, or he will slowly slip to the back of the pack. Now, Demetrius, what do you think about Namor falling behind and how Spider-Man has finally gotten his first gold medal?
Well, first off, Namor is built more like a tank than a slippery snake, so I have higher expectations for him going into the third category, the survivability one. But it's nice to see Spider-Man finally show off his prowess, as he's been a bit quiet up until now, so hopefully he's able to keep that energy up.
I completely agree with you, but let's keep things going with the last event of the movement category called Rise and Shine, where our contestants will have to rise to the occasion by climbing up this building and seeing if they can make it to this rooftop without touching the ground. Abilities can be used, but ultimates will not be allowed. This will be a little different than the other events, as the judges will be keeping track of the amount of time it takes to make it to the top of the roof, then how long it takes to make it to the other rooftop, as well as the total amount of time it takes for them to get from the ground to the final rooftop, and then score them by points. So, if you manage to get first on all three parts, then you would end up with 30 points. Only got first on the vertical part and third on the other two, you'd get 22 points. Make sense? No? Oh well, it looks like Scarlet Witch is ready to fly, managing to get to the roof in just 3.12 seconds and quickly gliding over to the other rooftop swiftly for a total time of 10.12 seconds. Next up is Storm, who flies to the top in 4.32 seconds and makes her way over to the other rooftop with ease, finishing with a time of 8.99 seconds. Punisher quickly uses one of his zip lines to scale up to the roof in 2.67 seconds, and then uses another zip to get to the other rooftop in 7.27 seconds. Now, it looks like the judges have decided to add 20 seconds to Punisher's total score to calculate for the zipline cooldown that would normally be there if he had just put it down, so that makes his total time 27.27 seconds. Next is Black Panther, who climbs the wall in 3.82 seconds, and then he uses some dashes to get across the gap, securing a total time of 8.92 seconds. Hela uses her crow to fling up to the roof in 2.72 seconds. As she waits for her cooldown, she uses her crow again and slowly floats to the other rooftop with a total time of 21.59 seconds. Up next is Iron Man, who wastes no time getting to the roof in just 1.71 seconds, and then uses that momentum to get to the other rooftop in a quick 5.87 seconds. Magic uses a quick dash to make it to the roof in 2.07 seconds. She waits for her dash to reset and then proceeds to dimensional shift and dash across to the other rooftop, getting a total time of 14.82 seconds. Next is Spider-Man, who swings his way to the roof in 3.62 seconds and continues his way to the other rooftop in a swift 7.17 seconds. Now Namor is ready to show off his mobility as he gets to the top in 4.42 seconds. and it looks like he needs to wait for his cooldown as he finally works his way into the sky and floats his way to a total time of 28.57 seconds. Our last competitor is Star-Lord, who rocket boosts himself to the roof in 3.19 seconds, and doesn't stop there, making it to the other rooftop in 8.29 seconds. That ends the third event of the movement category. The judges are tallying up the results, and it looks like Iron Man takes first place with the quickest splits out of everyone, beating out Spider-Man. And even with the added 20 seconds, the Punisher still managed to get third place in this event. Things didn't get much better during this event for Namor as he struggled, getting last place again. And I personally thought Storm would do a bit better with her flight capabilities, but she managed to get only 6th place. Now that the last event has finished, the judges will count up all the points from the movement category. As they do, I'm here for an interview with the Vanguard, Groot, to talk about the competition and how he gets himself in the right mindset to compete with the world's best.
I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot.
You make a great point there. You gotta stay diligent and always keep your eye on the prize. And it looks like Spider-Man kept his eye on the prize by snatching up 30 points in the movement category, solidifying himself in first place. With Iron Man close behind with 25 points in second, we had a three-way tie with Black Panther, the Punisher, and Storm with 21 points, Magic with 20 points, Star-Lord came with 16, Hela got 14, Scarlet Witch with 9, and unfortunately Namor at the back with 5 points. These points will be added to the ones they got from the damage category, but we're not done just yet. We need to see which one of these duelists is the toughest in our survivability category. Now, being able to survive can mean a lot of things, but not being able to get hit is very crucial in Marvel Rivals. So, the first event isn't necessarily an event, but a weigh-in. The judges have taken the measurements of all the contestants and they have ranked them from smallest to largest to start off the survivability category, where first place will be the smallest and last place will be the largest. And the results are as follows. Magic and Scarlet Witch tie for first as they were the smallest characters out of the whole group. Spider-Man was just slightly larger than the two of them, coming in at third place. At the bottom of the list, we have Punisher, who was easily the biggest out of the 10 of them. Now moving on to the next event. The second event of the survivability category is called Touch of Death. Now trust me, it's not as frightening as it sounds, as our competitors will see how long it takes before they get knocked out. The longer you last, the better you score, starting with Iron Man and Namor, who both managed to hold on tight for a solid 3.62 seconds. Up next is Spider-Man, Star-Lord, and Magic, who all tried their best to stay composed, but only managed 3.59 seconds. Punisher is up, ready to ease his mind with some meditation, holding out for 4.19 seconds. Next, we have Storm, Hela, and Scarlet Witch, who all didn't do much preparation for this event, falling at a time of 3.57 seconds. Our last contestant is Black Panther, who uses his pride to push himself to an impressive 4.42 seconds. And here are the results of the second event. Black Panther came in first, really showcasing his strength and mental fortitude, and he got much needed points allowing him to claw back into the competition. Unfortunately, there were a bunch of ties in the event, even for 8th place, where it seemed like the competitors were not prepared to deal with the damage. And was it just me, or was I seeing double out there? Wait, that's not Scarlet Witch? We got someone named Crimson Witch? But isn't that just... okay, whatever. Moving on. The last event of the survivability category is called Staying Alive, where the competitors will need to do all that they can to not be knocked out. They are allowed to use their abilities, but ultimates are not allowed and you may not run away, as this is a test of might and not a test of cat and mouse. Up first, ready to show their talent, is Hela, who throws out a stun and then uses her crow to take to the sky, coming in with a time of 4.92 seconds. Next is Storm, who quickly takes to the sky, avoiding damage for a split second and falling shortly with a time of 4.67 seconds. Punisher has been preparing physically for this event, using his turret to avoid damage and his zipline to get a solid time of 13.29 seconds. In the chopping block next is Black Panther, who uses a few dashes to gain some health, but inevitably falls in 7.19 seconds. Here to show off his suit's capabilities is Iron Man, who frantically flies around and ends up falling in 5.37 seconds. Next is Magic, who uses a quick dash to offset the Witch and going into a different dimension, landing her a time of 7.17 seconds. The Web Slinger is ready to go, doing a few quick web dashes and a stun, but ultimately falls in 5.89 seconds. Up next is Scarlet Witch, who disappears from reality not once, but twice to get a time of 10.29 seconds. Star-Lord looks a little nervous out there as he tries to dash around from the damage and ends up falling in 4.87 seconds. Last up is Namor, who uses his octopus friends to shoulder some of the damage, then rises in his water ball, finally getting knocked out in 12.52 seconds. With that, the last event has wrapped up, and here are the results. There's no surprise as Punisher takes first place, and it seems like Demetrius knows his stuff as Namor had a strong second place finish, but it may be a little too late to make a comeback. And it seems like Hela has really fallen off the last few events, coming in near the bottom of the boards yet again. Now that all the events for the survivability category are finished, here are all the points for the category. Tied for first place with 24 points is Black Panther and Magic. Tied for third is Punisher, Scarlet Witch, and Namor with 23 points. Spider-Man with 18 points coming in 6th. Iron Man with 17 points. Hela and Star-Lord tied for 8th, coming in with 13 points. And rounding out the bottom of the list is Storm with 11 points. Before we get to the final point tally of all 3 categories, here's a message from our sponsor, the subscribe button. If you've been enjoying the contest so far, why not click the subscribe button and click the notification bell while you're at it. Now, for what you all been waiting for. In third place, coming in with 57 points, the friendliest neighborhood superhero, Spider-Man. And in second place, with 62 points, he was able to build a suit in a cave with a bunch of scraps, is Iron Man. Finally, they set the record for highest point total in the preliminaries with 73 points. You love him, you fear him, the undeniable best duelist in Marvel Rivals, Punisher. These 3 will be taking their talents and testing them out against the best of the best from the other 2 roles in the Marvel Rivalympics. And if you're wondering, here's how the rest of the group panned out. Magic and Star-Lord were just a few points away from taking that 3rd spot from Spider-Man. And it looks like Hela's performance that fell off a bit after the damage category really affected her, as she ties with Namor and Black Panther at 51 points. Scarlet Witch came in 9th with 46 points, and it's sad to see, but Storm came in 10th with only 45 points. It was a really interesting competition, seeing some of the competitors who started near the bottom of the list at the beginning of the day work their way up, and some even managed to get onto the podium by the end of the day. Now, I expected more from Hela, but after the damage category, it seemed like she really started to fall off and things weren't connecting as they were during that first category. Since Magic managed to get 4th place, she'll be competing in a showcase with the other 4th place holders from the Strategist group and Vanguard's group to see who will be our wild card in the big Marvel Rivalympic event. Hope you enjoyed the competition, and remember to keep leveling up.